Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a continuation of my psychic diaries. This is a topic that's probably a little more well accepted by a lot of people, and that is the concept of the paranormal. Now, the paranormal exists of an entire spectrum of concepts, beliefs, stuff like that. There's not really one specific kind of subculture of it, but yeah, that's kind of the entire spectrum right there. But today I am mostly going to be focusing on the idea of spirits and ghosts. We all know what a ghost is. It's the spiritual entity of a once living creature, or of a demon, or of an angel, something like that, that has made itself into the physical world. Now, I actually do have a lot more experience with this sort of field through growing up, so I do have a little bit more to talk about with that. So as some of you may know, I was born in San Diego, California, one of the busiest cities in the world, I believe. We lived in a very small little house. I was the first, or the oldest child in my family. So when I was born, it was just me, my mom, and my dad in my house. Now, my dad worked a lot as a kid, so it was really just me and my mom who would stay home together. She would be working in the house. I would be, babying around, playing with toys, stuff all like that. I also didn't know until after we moved from that house that my mother and father both swore on their graves that that house was haunted. They obviously didn't tell me and my sister when we lived there. Obviously you don't want to tell a 5-year-old kid that their house is haunted, making them crap their pants every time they walk around a corner. But in that house, I would say, was the majority of my experience. Now, children do have more of a insight into the paranormal because they are fresh souls. There isn't anything kind of obstructing their views in life, so the spirits really attract themselves to them. The same with animals. If you ever have a dog or a cat and they stare at a corner of the room randomly, you know you've been kind of freaked out once or twice. Don't lie. From the time when I was about 1 or 2 years old and I was able to talk, my mom always said that she could hear me talking to myself in my bedroom. She always just assumed that I was, playing with dolls or stuffed animals, something like that, in my room by myself. So one day she came in just to kind of like spy around the door threshold to see what I was doing, and she saw that I was just kind of sitting on my bed talking to nothing, basically. So she comes in, she's like, "Mitchell, who are you talking to?" And I said, "Oh, I'm talking to the angels," which kind of freaked her out at that point because, she's by herself with a little kid who claims that she's talking to some otherworldly spiritual entity that's probably sitting in the room, which is the basis of many horror movies nowadays. And she kind of put this off, just kind of like, oh, he's a stupid kid, he doesn't know what he's talking about, until my sister was born. She was about that same age when my mom would hear her talking in her room, and she would say, "Hey, who are you talking to?" And she just flat out said, "Oh, I'm talking to the ghosts." Now imagine being a single, or not a single, now imagine being a mom at home by herself with 2 kids who have said that they are talking to something else in the house. And when I was a kid, as standard kids always do, they would want to sleep in their parents' room in between mom and dad if they were ever afraid of anything. That didn't happen as much as a kid. I didn't really understand that concept that much. But there would be times where I would sleep in my parents' bed just to kind of ease my nerves, or they would use that to ease my nerves. And on their closet, I know a lot of closets have this, it's like the sliding doors, and they have the mirror on the side. So basically the entire wall is a mirror. there would be times where I would be laying in bed and I would see shadows in that mirror, either pulling at the bed or like crawling around on the floor with the faintness of like the moonlight coming through the doors, or not the doors, the window. I would always see those little guys running around, not making any noise, just kind of living life, you know. They weren't disruptive, they didn't wake anyone up. I was the only one awake, so I could see all that was going on. But yeah, that kind of scarred me. Obviously, I'm thinking about it close to 15 years later. My sister is also 5 years younger than me, so there was a wide gap between those two events, so there's no way they really could have been related by anything else. From about the time when I say I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, I would not go into my bedroom by myself for any reason other than to go to bed. There was something in that room that always just kind of put me off, didn't feel right. Relating back to my last video about being able to read auras, this is kind of probably where that all kind of started to accumulate. I can remember countless nights laying in bed, terrified out of my mind, whether or not something was going to rip the blanket off of me, something was going to throw something off of a shelf, something was going to manifest in front of me. And at 7 years old, being a little kid by himself in a room, it was terrifying, to be completely honest. There was one instance when I was younger. I should preface too, I slept in a bunk bed when I was a kid. Even though I lived by myself in the room, I would always sleep on the top bunk. And there was one night, and again, I can't recall if this was a dream or not. First of all, it was many years ago, so I can't really like pinpoint it. But there was a time where I heard something bump, so I kind of like lifted the covers up a bit to see, and I had a little nightlight in the corner, and just like a pile of clothes underneath it. And laying in bed, I remember a t-shirt on the floor being picked up and kind of like jostled around. Not as if someone was wearing it, but if someone just kind of like picked one up off the floor with like the neck hole right here, just kind of like waving it and then throwing it to the side. And to my knowledge, I remember screaming to my parents just to come in here. I'm like, Mom, Dad, get in here, there's something in here, oh my God. To which they were like, I think that's where they kind of started to like allude to the fact that they knew that something was going on in the house. They just didn't flat out say it. Now flash forward a couple years, me and my family moved to Arizona when I believe I was 10 years old, 10 or 11, probably like on the jump to there. For a while, everything kind of just like stopped. There was no presence or anything. I did go into the house expecting it, since I had only lived in a house that we believed did have a presence in it. That was just kind of like what I based all of my personal experiences on. And I swear to this day, I don't know if I can really describe it easily, but basically like where our living room was at that house, there was like a hallway to the side that kind of split off into a couple different hallways for everybody's rooms. And there was one that was kind of like a peek around, so you can kind of like look and say like, oh, yoo-hoo. But to this day, I swear that there would be times where I would look at that hallway and see someone kind of like quickly jut their head around the corner. Like, it's scary thinking about it. Another thing, in my parents' bathroom, they had the master bathroom, and there was a very long mirror in it. And whenever I was home by myself and I would have to go in there, I was terrified of that bathroom. Just there was something about that super long mirror and the huge bathroom behind it that just like really gave me chills. Like, I wouldn't look at it. It felt like there was always going to be something looking through it that wouldn't be in the actual bathroom. So yeah, I never would have gotten in there by myself. Once I got into, I would say maybe senior year of high school slash freshman year of college, that's when I really started to investigate into the paranormal. I would watch ghost hunting TV shows, psychic TV shows, stuff all like that, just to see what that kind of world was. And it's honestly become one of my favorite aspects of human culture is the paranormal. I wish I could say with confidence that I have seen a ghost. I cannot, since I was saying a lot of this stuff happened when I was a kid. I can't place that on anything real. I just know that those things happened. I have not physically ever seen a manifestation of a spirit. I really want to at some point in my life. I have been wanting to go on some ghost hunting expeditions up here in Washington. I've heard there's a bunch of really cool, kind of scary places to go to. So yeah, that will be stuff I will be doing in the future. Also, if you have had any of these experiences in your life, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below. I would love to hear any other first-hand experiences some other people have had. I know there's a bunch of other these kind of videos on YouTube, but I just want to know a little more personal, you know? Again, thank you so much for watching. If you do want to stay connected in any way, all of my social media links are in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.